So, yeah, it wouldn't be a shock. Luke Gale got 48% of the vote, so he won the vote. He got 100% of our vote. He got 48% of the overall vote. Actually, only 5 people got votes, so the people who did get votes got multiple votes. Billy Magoulias, absolute flop at Warrington, and people respected that this award needs to be... Warrington need to be highlighted within this award. So he got 27% of the vote. Well done to those people showing respect to the Worst Signing Award. Dylan Napper got 17% of the vote. Another man who spent a lot more time on the sideline than you would like for a big signing. Aidan Caesar at Leeds got 5% of the votes. And Tom Lynham. I guess people forget about Wakefield signing Tom Lynham and him being so bad that he ended the season in the Championship. 2% of the vote. So some people didn't forget.
Yes, some people have got long memories, and good on them.
See You Next Tuesday award, the award we give out for general prickish, annoying, not what we would expect behaviour from someone within the world of rugby league. We went for quite a lot of players on the shortlist this year in the end. Previous winners, David, do you want to take us through the previous winners?
Yep, 2014, Zach Hardacre. 2015, Marwan Kukash. 2016, Sean Wayne, our coach, our England coach. 2017, Zach Hardacre. 2018, Zach Hardacre. There's a bit of a theme here. 2019, racists at the Challenge Cup semi-finals. 2020, COVID-19. That well-deserved award, and 2021 the ARL and New Zealand Rugby League boards for not turning up to the World Cup.
I kind of I've got over that now because I'm still so excited for the tournament this year. Emma's not over it though because she's really annoyed that I've got tickets to so many games, and last year she still would have been studying, so it would have been okay. She would have had other stuff to do. Now this year she's not, so she's pretty annoyed at me. David, you made one of our listeners very happy because one of our listeners, voted for the Leeds and Saints fans on Twitter every Tuesday after the disciplinary announcements, and you went for...
the match review panel! I nearly put Paul Cullen down, but I wanted to broaden the base.
Fair enough. Not for St Helens players hitting people late. Then you didn't vote for that. That was the cause of the match review.
I really like that Leeds and Saints fans on Twitter every Tuesday night comment. That is very good, very good, because we did all whinge on Twitter every time Paul Cullen decided to ban another one of our players
for hitting someone late. The rest of us went for the same person. Sarah, remind people why we went for Brad Takarangi, because the Cook Islands seem to not have a reason for why we would do this.
Yeah, so he was driving way over the drink driving limit, the wrong way down the A63, which is basically the end of the M62, so a main road. When he was eventually stopped by the police, I think he spat at the police officer and then did a runner.
Not great behaviour.
No. And in addition to that, the road that he did this on is named after one of our, great rugby league heroes of the city of Hull, of the country. The World Cup ball is named after him. This prick is going to be holding it as a captain of a fucking team.
Yeah, the Clive Sullivan way.
Look, I don't know if this is, if Brad Takarangi has got a history for this kind of behaviour, but it's a one-off instance of bad press for rugby league this year. Until Ralph Rimmer and Eddie Hemmings piped up way into the voting.
That was two very late entries that could have been added, Mark.
Would have won. Let's not overlook that fact. We acknowledge that time moves on and people in rugby league fuck up all the time. But I think no one fucked up more in rugby league in this country than what Brad Takarangi did that night.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
It's just so...
Well, I mean, he's the only one that put people's lives directly in danger. So yeah, he was.
It's such a dangerous road.
Yeah, can't argue with that. That's a good point.
But people were more bothered about on-field stuff, I think, in general, because James Bentley was the winner with 26% of the vote because he went around all year smacking people in the head. And then crying about it afterwards more often than not.
To be fair, he probably annoyed a lot of fan bases by doing that to so many different teams. So that's a good way of getting yourself voted as the see you next Tuesday.
But normally the fan bases cry because, like, he's done it in a match, but then the punishment comes when they played against other teams. But this year he managed to get himself punished in the games and after the games. It was quite a close race between the shortlisted options. The On-Field Operational Rules Tribunal got 21% of the votes. They were just in time, weren't they, with the Morgan Knowles fiasco? Although arguably the match review panel were to blame for that in the end. Brad Takarangi got 20% of the votes. Luke Gale got 15% of the votes. David, don't take it to heart too much, but St Helens, as a club and fan base, got more than one vote. They got 2.
I'm fine with that. Jealousy's fine. I've not got a problem.
None of them were from Wigan fans, I need to be clear. They were not. There was 2 votes. One was from a Hull fan and one was from a Cass fan. The most creative was the one we mentioned. I think, if we were giving out an award for the best vote...
Yeah, I think it's a good one.
The Leeds and Saints fans on Twitter every Tuesday. Okay, SLP Old Player of the Year. David, as our oldest player, do you want to take us through the previous winners? And what the criteria was as well, because that's important, because a lot of people don't remember that.
Yes, indeed, as it turns out. Aged 32 or over on the 9th of February 2022. Previous winners, 2018, Ben Chopper Westwood. 2019, the Majestic James Roby. 2020, the Majestic James Roby. And 2021, can't believe he qualifies for this now, but because he only seemed a kid 2 minutes ago, Sam Tompkins.
Yeah, he did qualify. And he qualified again this year, but his performances didn't merit like they did last year. 4 people got votes that didn't count this year. Sam Powell, 30-year-old Sam Powell, 31-year-old Greg Eden, 31-year-old Mark Sneed, and actually now technically 32-year-old Johnny Lomax, but he only turned 32 halfway through the year. So and Greg Eden turns 32 very soon. Actually, that was a surprise when I realised how close he was to actually being a legitimate vote from Fatboy Rob. But let's go through who we went for. And, I mean, David, be very quick because you don't need to go into detail.
No, I just voted for James Roby.
Yeah. Sarah, you went for someone different.
Yeah, I went for SKD because I think he's a very good player. I think he's done a lot of good for Rovers. Yeah.
Yep. Alan, you went for Two Dads as well?
Yeah, same rationale. He's been very, very good this year. Maybe not quite as good as Tom rates him, but he's been very good.
I went for Chris Mcqueen. I thought, in that mould of what we expect most of the time from our second rowers, Chris McQueen did a lot of stuff that we don't expect, which was scoring tries regularly for Huddersfield. A lot of them came, I guess, in the first half of the year, more so than the second half of the year. So I think maybe that, but I remember going into the Challenge Cup final being worried about what he could do, and he scored a try in the Challenge Cup final. I thought he had a very, very strong year. As well, he was a player before this year. I thought he was spent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think this year he said, no, I'm not. Not quite good enough to make the England squad, but I think very, very good year. I went with Chris McQueen, and actually he was the winner with 48% of the vote. Your James Roby was close. He was denied a third Old Player title. He got 40% of the vote. Yeah, and then we've talked about those non-counting votes. From the old end of the scale, let's go to the young end of the scale. And Sarah, I think you're the youngest. Am I younger than you or older than you? I don't know.
Younger than me.
Well, you can tell us the category and previous winners anyway for SLP Young Player of the Year.
Yeah.
You look younger than me.
Previous winners in 2014 was Darryl Clark. How was he ever young enough to be that? 2015, George Williams. 2016, Ben Curry again. 2017, Jack Walker. 2018,
Young Jack Walker.
Yeah. 2018, Daniel Richardson. 2019, Morgan Smithies. 2020, cheating Jack Wellsby. 2021, cheating Jack Wellsby.
Just to clarify, he didn't cheat for his eligibility for this award. Just for everything else he earned all the season long.
Yeah.
And who did you go for, Sarah, yourself?
I went for Mikey Lewis.
What? Hold on. You went for a Hull KR player for Old Player of the Year. You went for a Hull KR player for Young Player of the Year. Explain yourself.
Possibly, these are the... There is a link between these two players, I've realised. They're the two Rovers players that I've heard speaking at the referees' meetings. I've just realised that. I think Mikey Lewis is a good player. I think he's a very, very good player.
I think if the second half of his season wasn't blighted by injuries, Hull KR would have still been more in that top six conversation than they ended up being able to be. I think that's something I'd say about Mikey Lewis is a difference maker for them. Best support playing halfback I've seen since Danny Maguire.
Yeah. Alan,
who did you go for?
I went for Joe Chan because Jack Wellsby is no longer eligible for this award.
Is he not?
I unilaterally made that decision that he's not eligible. I can't change the criteria, but I can choose who I vote for.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's obscene to be voted to get it 3 times. So I went for somebody else who I thought has been very, very good this year, kind of slightly under the radar player before this year, without question. And Joe Chan fitted the bill for me.
It's sad, isn't it, that he's leaving Super League?
Yeah.
It feels like one of those players that might find his way back to Super League.
I hope so.
But I think he's been class this year. I took the award in the spirit that the rules are written rather than the emotional aspect of it. And I realise part of why I hate Jack Wellsby is because he is such a little bell end on the pitch with like throwing the ball at people and flipping himself over and that sort of stuff. But the main reason why I hate Jack Wellsby is he's not playing for us and he is playing for them, because I do think he is class. I think he's shown it again this year by playing in multiple positions. I think when Lewis Dog got injured, he stepped up and, made a difference to a St Helens side that became less watchable overnight when Dog got injured. But Jack Wellsby kept doing stuff, kept making stuff happen. And it wasn't just in attack either. There was some like really big chasebacks in defence and other stuff that you saw from him. I just think he is the best player who was aged under 21 at the start of the season, as much as it makes me feel sick.
You make a good case, but I respectfully voted elsewhere.
There's no problem with you voting elsewhere, and I think Joe Chan is a very good choice. I voted for Jack Wellsby. I think he's still got a hell of a lot to learn, but he is notwithstanding the fact that he's had 2 previous awards. He is still very young, and he's got I think he's got time to learn some improvements in terms of how he goes about things. I hope he fulfills his potential for Saints and for England.
Well, 2 previous awards, make that 3. I'm pretty sure he'll age out of this next year. And he won't get Super League Young Player of the Year, I hope, too, next year. But with 37% of the vote, Jack Wellsby won the SLP Young Player of the Year for the third time in a row. Morgan Gannon got 22% of the vote. Mikey Lewis got 19% of the vote. 5 others got votes that counted. Chan, we've talked about. John Bennison, Lewis Murphy, Morgan Smithies, and Connor Wrench. 2 votes that didn't count, they were wasted, in fact, were on 31 turning 32-year-old Greg Eden and 31-year-old Mark Sneed. Who did these? Well, we know who did Greg Eden. He just wanted to cause me fucking work by taking those votes out of the count. Who did